Hare Krishna. Okay, so Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangolam gayate girim. Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Riyam, that's it. So reading from page 96 of Gauranga book. The chapter is entitled Gopal Chapel Begs for Forgiveness. And the way we usually conduct these sessions is that it's a group participation. So I invite you all to join in, either through reading or making comments, questions, so that we can have an interactive session together. So in terms of the reading, I like to ask the devotees to put a number in the chat box for reading. So you can put number 1 to read first, number 2 for second, etc. So I'll just start us off. So Gopal Chapel begs for forgiveness. Gopal Chapel has also offended Srivas Thakur and had contracted leprosy soon after. Once he approached Lord Chaitanya wanting to be forgiven. He said, "You are Patit Pavan, you are the most merciful, so please forgive me." The Lord said, "No, I'll not forgive you. You will dwell in hell, because you have offended a pure devotee. I'll not forgive you. If you go to Srivas, if he forgives you, then I'll accept you. Otherwise not. Sorry, I cannot help you." Okay, so this is similar to the previous pastime we read about Devananda Pandit 2 weeks back, because this is another, as it says, Gopal Chapal has also offended Srivas Thakur. So these two personalities had offended Srivas Thakur at different points in time, right? And we read about what happened to Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit was a scholar, but he was giving a recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he was not a devotee, he made the mistake of throwing Srivas Thakur out from his class, thinking him to be like a sentimentalist. Although, of course, we know Srivas Thakur is the greatest of the devotees. He's none other than Narada Muni. Now, here's another occasion which is being described. So, just as Devananda Pandit had to ask for forgiveness, beg for forgiveness from Srivas Thakur, similarly, Gopal Chapel, who has also offended Srivas Thakur, has to do the same. So does anybody know who Gopal Chapel is? Has anyone heard this story before? I just wonder if anyone's familiar with Gopal Chapel. So Gopal Chapel was living in the neighborhood of Srivas Thakur, and he was a Shakta. He was a devotee of goddess Durga, and he was actually very, very envious that that Srivas Thakur was having these nighttime kirtans, which we read about in previous weeks. They would do kirtan all day, and they would do kirtan all night. And he was quite envious that this kirtan was happening, and it wasn't to his Ishtadev, his worshipable Lord. It was to Lord Krishna. The chanting was dedicated to Lord Krishna. So he was quite envious, and what he did out of envy, out of spite, he would put like horrible unofferable things at the house of Srivas Thakur, and he tried to make out that Srivas Thakur was some kind of tantric. So he was putting things like wine and urine and things like all these abominable things, abominable ingredients outside the house of Srivas Thakur. And then he would pass by with his friends and mock Srivas Thakur in front of the house. He would say, "Look at this guy. He's just so low class. He spends his night drinking wine and shouting and screaming." And in that way, he was offending Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur, on the other hand, took no offense at all. He, on the other hand, just simply accepted. Yes, whatever you say is true. If you call me a Shakta worshipper, or if you call me a tantric, or whatever you want to call me, I don't mind. He just wanted to carry on. He wasn't too concerned what other people thought. He was so focused on his own service. He was so absorbed in thoughts that Lord Chaitanya was coming to his house for kirtan. Nothing seemed to disturb him. So they were not getting a response. They were not getting the response they wanted for their envy. So actually, it came to a point where Gopal Chapal had leprosy. Does anyone know what leprosy is?
It's a really bad disease where you get rashes on the skin, I think.
Yeah. It's a horrible disease, leprosy. And in fact, they have these colonies, where in India and maybe other places as well, where if someone has got leprosy, they have to go out of the village or the town. They have to go and stay in one of these colonies because it's contagious, that disease. If you touch something and then you got leprosy and you touch something, then whoever else can touch the item, or if you touch someone, then they can very easily contract leprosy. So he was in this really dire situation now. So he realized that he needed to surrender. So he accepted that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patith Pavan, he accepted him as the Supreme Lord, but still it wasn't good enough. So Lord Chaitanya didn't forgive him because he actually made the offense to Srivas Thakur. Yeah. And Srivas Thakur wasn't feeling offended. So this is interesting. That you can offend someone even if they are not offended. Yeah. Even if you do something wrong to someone, specifically a Vaishnava, and they don't know or they don't care really, still it's an offense, as in this case. So there are many pastimes like this, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm just wondering, can you think of any examples? We might have heard this before.
It's Ambarish Muni and Durvasa.
That's right.
Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one I thought of too. Yeah, that's one of the examples. So the same happened there, isn't it? Do you want to relate that story briefly? Do you remember?
I don't remember fully. If someone else would want to do that.
Yeah, does anybody know the story of Durvas Muni and Ambarish?
I think
Maharaj?
he was Ambarish Maharaj. He was on fast, and he didn't speak to the Durvasa Muni, and the Durvasa Muni got offended. But it's better if somebody else says it because I've forgotten the details, Prabhuji. Sorry.
I think Ambrish Maharaj was about to finish the fasting of Ekadashi,
Yes.
but he was waiting for Durvasa Muni to come and offer the prasadam, but the time is about to finish, so he has to finish the fasting. So he had water to finish it off, but Durvasa Muni came to know that he finished the fasting without feeding him. So he got so angry, and he took one of his hair, and then he said some mantra, and a demon came who is about to kill Ambrish Maharaj, but he was not offended. He was just praying Krishna. But at that time, Lord got so, what do you say, he doesn't like any of his devotees suffer. So he sent his chakra. So the chakra was following Durvasa Muni. He went to Kailash everywhere, but he couldn't be rescued. He went to Lord Vishnu itself. He said that no, unless you go and get forgiveness from Ambrish Maharaj, this chakra can't come back. So he went and then fell at the feet of Ambrish Maharaj, but he felt so bad when Durvasa Muni fell at his feet. He said that I'm not offended, please Lord, take chakra back. So yeah, that's a short story, Prabhu. I would haven't explained it better, sorry.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. So this is the story. So even though Ambrish Maharaj, he wasn't offended, and in this case, there was a huge demon, like a ferocious monster in front of him. And his only intention was actually to serve Durvas, but still Durvas made this monster to come get him. But sure enough, the chakra destroyed the monster and chased after Durvas until he realized his mistake. So yes, that's another story of offense against Vaishnavas. So I'll continue reading, and we'll see what happens in this instance. So this is a very rare thing. Lord Chaitanya is really the most merciful. But Gopal Chapal, he was heavier than a lightning bolt. Later, some devotees approached Srivas and told him what happened. They said, "You should please forgive Gopal Chapal." Srivas replied, "Me? I'm not a Vaishnava. I'm lower than a worm. How can he make any offense to me? I'm very fallen." The devotee said to him, "Listen, Srivas, you may think that you are lower than a worm. You may think that you are very fallen. But Lord Chaitanya, he thinks you are a devotee. And if you don't forgive him, this Gopal Chapal will burn in hell because of you. Do you want him to suffer because of you?" No, I don't want anyone to suffer because of me. Srivas was such a devotee. So you better go and forgive him. Whether you think that you are a devotee or not, Lord Chaitanya thinks you are a devotee, and he thinks that this Gopal Chapal has offended you. You should go and forgive him. Okay, so any reflections on this? Any thoughts?
Just the fact that, birth or caste, as it was in India at the time, or where you're born, whether you're poor or rich, doesn't matter at all in the eyes of the Lord. So a devotee is a devotee, and a devotee comes first, irrespective of what what the background of the devotee is, and that's comes out through all the pastimes of the Lord.
Yes, that's a nice point. Yeah. In this case, Srivas actually was a Brahmin in any case, as was Gopal Chapal. But he didn't behave like a Brahmin, Gopal Chapal, because a Brahmin is supposed to be forgiving. He's not supposed to be envious. And Srivas was so humble, he didn't even accept an offense. But when he was asked to forgive immediately, he forgave. So Shama, this quality of forgiveness, he had that, Srivas Thakur. And he genuinely, it's amazing, he genuinely didn't think that this person has done wrong to me. In the same way, Ambarish Maharaj, there was this like huge demon made to come and terrorize him just because he took a glass of water or a sip of water even. He took a sip of water because it was the right time to do so, and he had been observing this fast. And the other party had taken such an offense. Vasmuni had taken such an offense that he could create such a demon, in response to such a minor thing. So this is very instructive for us, isn't it? How does this help us in our Krishna consciousness? If we were in the situation of, ideally we want to be in the situation of Srivas Thakur, trying to be a devotee. Yeah. So how does this help us in our Krishna consciousness?
Sorry.
No, go on,
No, it's okay. Carry on, Panjali.
no, I speak too much anyway. I mean, I can speak after you.
No, it's okay. That's fine. After you, I'll talk.
Okay. So for me, Prabhuji, it's 2 points in 2 ways. So first of all, never offend a devotee, because the Lord's devotee is more dear to the Lord, even he himself is. And secondly, humility. What Lord Chaitanya also teaches in his Shishikshastaka, doesn't he? That,
Yes.
humility, one should be really, really humble, not be proud, whatever one comes across. And that's why he gives those examples of the grass and the tree.
Yes. And these are nice points for us to meditate on. And here's a perfect example of someone who's tolerant and humble and forgiving. Yes.
But there's also something that really strikes me, Prabhu, and it's the different thing that the Lord, that Krishna wants us to learn from the different pastimes. So over here, forgiveness comes first, and the Lord is teaching us that we need to be humble and we need to forgive, and that is what is best. But to Arjun, when Duryodhana was doing all the wrong things to him, the Lord asked him to fight and protect and do what is right.
Yes.
So can we relate these two, or they are not parallel in their at all?
Yeah. So the Kurukshetra war is the culmination of so many offenses that happened prior. Yeah. Like throughout the Mahabharata.
Yeah. Oh yes, I remember the Krishna went and asked Duryodhana to give 5 villages. Oh yes, I remember. So it's a culmination. Yeah, I understand now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right from their childhood, the Pandavas were being tortured by their cousins, the Kauravas.
Yeah.
Right from when Bhim was poisoned
Yeah.
for eating kheer. They put poison in his kheer.
Yeah.
So from the very young age, these things were going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, they forgave the whole life. They were just forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. But Krishna couldn't tolerate it anymore. Krishna personally couldn't tolerate that level of forgiveness. Krishna personally wanted to see that they were destroyed. Yeah. You can see that even though the Lord is so merciful, there is some things he does not tolerate. He doesn't tolerate any offense to his devotees, even if the devotee can tolerate a lifelong of offenses. But the Lord cannot tolerate. The Lord is quite happy to destroy that person and cast them into hell forever. So Amu Mataji, did you want to share something with us?
It's already covered, Prabhu. I was about to talk about humility only.
Right.
I'm so sorry, Mataji. Next time.
No, Mataji.
Go
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I like to hear from you. You explained very well. You even compared with the Kurukshetra. I would haven't even done that. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, I just end up talking too much at times. Sorry.
No,
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 at all.
thank you, Mataji. I learn a lot from you. Keep
Oh, no,
talking,
it's
please.
no, I have to practice humility. No, I mean, that's not right. I end up learning a lot from all of you.
Okay, so
Okay, Mataji.
so yeah, we can learn a lot from the behavior of Srivas. That he was forgiving. You know, many times it's difficult for us to do that, to forgive. Like someone does something to us, and we just think this person should burn in hell. You know, it's like because of our our karma and so on. This is our kind of instant response. How could someone do something to me? I'm a devotee. Don't they know? You know, this is our kind of typical response. But actually, we should see that when something happens to us, it's actually the way we should see it is that it's the result of something I've done. Because I've done something bad to someone either in this life or maybe in a previous life. Therefore, I'm simply getting my my dues. I'm simply getting my reactions. Yeah? This is how the Pandavas saw it. You know, they had such heavy, heavy atrocities committed against them. And they always saw it that way. So it's very instructive that. And then also we should be able to forgive also. That if we are feeling offended, we would want someone to forgive us also, right? If we have done something wrong, and we know that if we haven't yet, then surely we may commit an offense at some stage, you know, because we are just practicing spirituality. We're just neophyte. We're just beginners. So we should take it that we'd want someone to forgive us. So why would we not forgive someone? Yeah. Actually, Guru Maharaj, he tells this story often that that Srila Prabhupada told the devotees that if you see someone being, say, a devotee being attacked or offended in some way, if you come in between that attack and you die as a result of trying to save someone else, trying to save a devotee from attack or something like this, then you'll go back to Godhead. Krishna appreciates it so much, you know, that you've protected someone from an offense. So how careful should we be when it comes to protecting the devotees, you know? So we should also be very forgiving ourselves, because that's how dear the devotees are to Lord Chaitanya. So I'll just read the last couple of short paragraphs. So Srivas went and Gopal Chapal fell at his feet. Please, Srivas, please forgive me. I have committed an aparad. Then Srivas said, I'll forgive you. As soon as he was forgiven, Lord Chaitanya suddenly appeared from nowhere, and he embraced Gopal Chapal and accepted him. Later he became part of his Sankirtan party. So right there on the spot, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also willing to forgive Gopal Chapal immediately. And this is the power of the devotee. They can control the Lord, isn't it? Srivas Thakur, by his forgiveness, he was able to beseech that forgiveness in the Lord. You know, he was able to invoke that forgiveness even in the Lord. And remember here that Gopal Chapal has got leprosy, right? So he's there suffering with leprosy, and immediately Lord Chaitanya embraces him. And of course, Lord Chaitanya doesn't get leprosy, but actually the other way around, that the leprosy disappears instantly from Gopal Chapal. Yeah, and he just looks completely fresh and young, youthful, beautiful, and he just joins the Sankirtan party. He becomes a Vaishnava himself. From being a Shakta from the beginning of the pastime, he becomes a Vaishnava. because he realizes actually the glory of the Vaishnava tradition. You see, he realizes that Srivas Thakur is such an amazing person. He's just a perfect example for us all. Okay. So just wondering, would anyone like to read the next pastime? Yeah, sure, Panchali. And if anyone else is with us and listening, if you could put your cameras on, then it would be nice to be reading with you all and discussing with you all together. Okay, Panchali, over to you.
Would anyone else like to read?
I think you're the only one.
Hare Krishna. So Maharaja Samudrasena has darshan of Krishna. 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna instructed Maharaja Yudhishthir to do the Rajasuya sacrifice, and he sent the Pandavas in the 4 directions to collect wealth: south, north, east, and west. Somehow, Bhimasena was assigned to go to the east. From Hastinapur, he went to Lucknow, Manipur, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and so many other countries. But the king of this place in Navadvipa was known as Samudrasena, and he thought, Bhima is very dear to Lord Krishna. If I give Bhima a hard time, Krishna will have to appear and save him. Krishna won't let his devotee perish. This is the only chance I will have to get darshan of Krishna. I'll put up such a fight that Bhima will have no hope, and he will have to take the shelter of Krishna. Then, when Krishna shows himself to me, I'll surrender. I don't want to fight. I only want to fight to see Krishna. This is a kind of strange Kshatriya mentality, to see Krishna through fighting.
Okay. It's a peculiar character, Maharaj Samudrasena, huh? So this is taking us back 5,000 years before the Gaura Leela takes us back to Krishna Leela. There's a reason for this, which we'll come to. Okay. So any reflections on this? So this is about a Rajasuya Yagya. Does anyone know what that means?
Is it
So-
when a king is being inaugurated?
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Is it when a king is being inaugurated on the throne?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, or even if we take it a step above that, it's when an emperor is being inaugurated. So a king will be a king of a kingdom, a particular kingdom. But if he wants to become an emperor, that means he has to be the king and have many subservient kings of the neighboring kingdoms. And so Krishna instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj, who was the king of that particular region around Hastinapur and Indraprastha, that area, to actually become the emperor of the whole of Bharat, or the whole world. So in order to do that, they have to perform a specific kind of sacrifice where they go, one aspect of it is they have to have all the other kings accept Yudhishthira Maharaj as their superior. Yeah. So they all went in their respective directions, the brothers, and Bhima happened to come across Samudrasena in the region of Navadvip, which is of course the area of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes thousands of years later, right? So Samudrasena, he's a funny character, right? What does he decide to do?
He decides to fight Bhima.
Yeah, okay. But what was the pretext for him wanting to fight?
He wanted to have Krishna's darshan.
Right. So it's not that he didn't accept Yudhishthira as the emperor, but if he just thought, if I just say, yeah, I signed the paper or whatever, and I give the king gifts, and fair enough, all said and done, then I'll never see Krishna. On the other hand, if I fight really valiantly and Bhima's in trouble, then he'll have to call Krishna for help. And this is the way I can get darshan of Krishna. Okay. So this is what he did. Okay, do you want to read on?
Everyone was surrendering to Bhima, so he was thinking that Samudrasena is known to be a devotee of Krishna, so he also will surrender. But Bhima was very surprised when he found that Samudrasena put up a great fight. Then Bhima started praying, Krishna, I don't want to lose to it must be Samudrasena, this battle. I won the Kurukshetra battle. I killed Duryodhana and all his brothers. But this king is fighting so strongly. Krishna, I need your help. So Krishna appeared in the battlefield, and when Samudrasena saw Krishna, he offered his pranams to him. Krishna showed him his form in Vrindavan, and he also showed how in Kali Yuga he comes in this part of Navadvip as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Samudrasena saw Krishna, he saw Gauranga, and then he surrendered and gave the taxes and whatever was required to Bhima. Bhima was surprised how all of a sudden he changed. He said, Krishna, I don't know how you did it, but thank you.
Right. Thanks for reading, Pachali.
No worries. Very bad.
Really funny part, man. So actually, the internal thing is he was actually able to attract Krishna, right? He was actually, that was what was going on. He was actually able to attract Krishna. Externally, he was putting up this whole leela that he'll fight with Bhim. Bhim would get stuck, right? Actually, no one could defeat Bhim. Bhim was like incredibly strong. It's just unheard of that anyone could even disarm Bhima. So isn't it that Bhim was the strength of so many thousands of elephants, right? So it was not possible actually for anyone to defeat Bhima. And but still, by Krishna's arrangement, Bhima was in trouble. Yeah. And then Krishna appeared on the scene. How did Krishna appear? Because Krishna at this point in time, he's Dwarkadish. But in this pastime, Krishna appeared in a different way.
In his Vrindavan form, so as a cowherd boy.
That's right. So there's no limit. There's no restriction or anything like that for how Krishna can appear at any point in time. So even though Krishna was living as Dwarkadish, he appeared as Vrindavan Bihari is Krishna, or Sham Sundar, especially for King Samudrasena. So sweet. Not only that, he gave him an extra special darshan because Samudrasena was living in a holy place already, right? So what was that extra darshan which he gave him?
Gauranga.
Yes, he gave the darshan of Gauranga Mahaprabhu as well, right? So we can see even 5,000 years ago, Gauranga Mahaprabhu was present in Navadvip as well. Yeah, he gave a special darshan to Samudrasena, and he told him that when you, because of your desire to see me, I'll give you a blessing that you can take part in my pastimes. So that Samudrasena, he got this blessing, you see.
So he was actually a devotee, wasn't he? It's just that he was a weird devotee, but he was a devotee at heart, and that's what matters to Krishna, doesn't it? That if you call him, and if your intention is to see Krishna or please him or love him, and if there is that longing for Krishna in any way, Krishna surrenders to that longing.
Yeah, there's an interesting Yeah, so he was a devotee, even though he had this very peculiar method of attracting Krishna. So therefore it's said, there's a saying Prabhupada quotes from, I think it's a Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vaishnavaya Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Pujai. Do you know what that means, Anjali?
Say it again, Prabhu. Vaishnavaya.
Vaishnavaya Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Pujaya. Sorry, my Bengali is not so good.
No.
That means that no one can understand, even an intelligent person cannot understand the kriya, the activity of a Vaishnava. So this is a nice example of that statement. So we should also learn from this to be careful, because we may see devotees doing rather peculiar things without actually knowing what the internal intention is. Yeah, they may have very good intention, but it may seemingly be a Vaishnava. It may seemingly be not Vaishnava behavior. But this goes to show that even Vaishnavas can behave in peculiar ways. Yeah. Okay, so the next pastime is the meeting of Gauranitai. Would someone else like to read for this next section, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I can read a bit.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Meeting of Gauranitai. One day Ram, Abhirama and Lord Nityananda arrived in Navadvip. Lord Chaitanya knew that Nityananda had come. So he sent all his followers, "You please go out to find Nityananda. He is my brother. He is my counterpart. He will be with us for Sankirtan."
Okay, so just to introduce some of the personalities here. The first person mentioned is Ram Abhiram, and then Nityananda is mentioned. So in Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya, he had one brother whose name was Vishwarup. Yeah, and his own name was Vishwambar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name was also Vishwambar. So these were the two brothers. Vishwarup was the older brother, and Vishwambar was the younger brother. And so Vishwarup, he took sannyas when he was very young, and he left home. So Mother Satya was very attached to Vishwambar, Nimai. Okay, and then all of a sudden, Lord Chaitanya or Nimai, he's revealing to his friends, his associates, that he has a brother who they never heard of, Nityananda. Yeah, so we all know that Nityananda is none other than
Balaram.
Balaram. That's right. So so this is like a new thing for them. Like, you got a brother, right? And along with him, he's coming with another devotee called Ram Abhiram. So Ram Abhiram is actually a cowherd boy. The cowherd boy in the Krishna Leela. And all the cowherd boys in the Gaura Leela are friends with Lord Nityananda. Okay. So whenever you hear about the pastimes of Nitai and with other devotees, generally he's interacting with the cowherd boys. Yeah. We don't often hear that Balaram is interacting with the gopis, with Radharani and so on. Okay. So all these personalities, all these great personalities, these associates of Krishna are also coming in the Gaura Leela. Okay, I'll continue.
They went house to house. "Hello, hello, excuse me, is Nityananda here?" Until late at night they were asking, "Excuse me, is Nityananda here?" Some of the householders became upset. "You are the third person that has come today. What is this? 8:30 at night and we don't stay up so late. Go to sleep. What is wrong with you? Hare Krishna." Shall I carry on? So they went back and Lord Nityananda asked them, "Did you find Lord Chaitanya asked them, "Did you find Lord Nityananda?" They said, "No." How are you trying to find him? We were looking all over. Then Lord Chaitanya said, oh, you looked for him. You can't find him by looking for him. He has to reveal himself to you. You have to approach him with pure bhakti. Then he reveals himself. That's why you didn't find him. I can find him, but you cannot find him. So tomorrow I will go and find him. Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, he can find Balaram, but the conditioned souls cannot find the Lord.
Right. So again, these pastimes, they always have deeper meanings, isn't it? So on the surface, we cannot always easily understand the purpose. So they're going house to house and asking for Nityananda, and the people are saying, 8:30 at night, what? You guys are still awake? Right? Because in the older times, lights out meant, they wouldn't have like electricity like we do. They just have candlelight, and then when it's out, it's out. Whereas nowadays we start our sanghas at 8:30 at night. Right? Of course, that's nothing, because of course people outside there staying up till all hours. ISKCON London Temple, when the people are going to bed at night, the devotees are waking up for Mangalarti. So just outside, there's all this like ruckus on the street. All this people with their bottles and whatever, making their way home, staggering. And the devotees are waking up fresh-eyed and ready for Mangalarti. Right? So here they're not able to find Nityananda by their own strength. By their own endeavor, they can't find the Lord. Nityananda, of course, he is Balaram, and Balaram represents what potency of the Lord?
Pardon? Sorry, what's your question, Prabhuji?
What potency of the Lord does Lord Balaram represent?
It's not the internal potencies. So
No, the internal potency
it's
is Srimati
Radharani.
Radharani. Yes.
Yeah.
So Lord Balaram, he represents Guru Tattva. Yeah. He represents the Guru, the spiritual master, because he is like the first one there to serve Krishna. Balaram serves Krishna in every way. He's born before Krishna so that he can begin the service before Krishna even arrives. Yes. So this is explaining how we cannot find Guru on our own. We have to attract the mercy of Krishna to find Guru. So they went out, and they tried to find Nityananda on the order of Lord Chaitanya. But when Lord Chaitanya saw, okay, they've tried, now let me reveal Guru to them. Let me reveal Nityananda to them. Then it happened. So this is quite instructive for ourselves as well, how we can find Guru, or the representative of Nityananda.
So Prabhuji, so for someone like us who are not yet initiated, we have to pray to Krishna every day to give us the mercy of Lord Nityananda or Balarama, or we have to pray to Lord Nityananda directly for our gurus?
Yes, we should pray to both Gaura Nitai. Yeah, we should pray to both the Lord and Lord Balaram as well. Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram. We should pray to both, because Balaram he is the representative. The Guru represents Lord Balaram. Yeah. And of course, we want to attain Krishna, so we have to show Krishna that we want to attain him. And the only way we can attain Krishna is that by the mercy of Guru. Yes. So therefore, in the Mangalarti we sing, in the Guru Vastakam we sing, Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi. Without the mercy of Bhagavan, we cannot have Guru. And without the mercy of Guru, we cannot have Bhagavan. So they go hand in hand. Yeah. Okay, if you'd like to continue, unless there's any other questions, does it seem like? No? Okay.
The next day, Lord Chaitanya went out with a kirtan party, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like this, kirtana was going on throughout Navadvip. At that time, Nitai and Sridhama, in brackets Abhiram, Aram Abhiram, were at the house of Nanda-acharya. They heard from a distance the sound of kartals. As the kirtan party got closer, they heard Hare Krishna chanting. It came closer and closer, and soon Lord Chaitanya entered right into the courtyard, and then the ecstatic meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda took place. Gauranga Nityananda, Gauranga Nityananda, Haribol. They ran to each other, they embraced each other. All the devotees felt so much ecstasy at the union of Gauranga and Nityananda. They started to chant, Haribol, Haribol, Nitai Gaur, Haribol. In the higher planets, the denizens of heaven, the angels and devas, they were beating on drums and showering flowers. The Lords had met in the auspicious Navadvip Dham. Then they danced together and chanted throughout. Navadvip, the devotees were thinking, how is that? There are two Gaurangas now, one wearing yellow and one wearing blue. One is golden yellow and one is little yellow, almost the same.
Okay. We'll just pause here. Thank you, Mataji, for reading. You really bring this pastime to life. Wonderful. So this is a Kirtan Leela that happens now because they found Lord Nityananda. Where was he hiding? Did you spot that? Were you attentive on where to find Guru?
They were at the house of Nandanacharya.
That's right. So those who have been to Mayapur Dham before, they will note that Nandanacharya's house is just a little further down from our ISKCON temple. It's just a few blocks, few temples down. Of course, that road is filled with temples from door to door. So not very far from our ISKCON temple at all. And this is where the meeting of Gaur Nityananda happened. Yeah.
It's just wondering, Prabhuji, so why did they not meet earlier in life? Was there a reason, a particular reason as to why it happened now as opposed to earlier?
This is just the way that the pastime unfolds, really. I don't know actually why there was, why did Krishna come in one family and why did Balaram come in another family? I don't know. Even in the pastime of, even in Krishna Leela, Krishna's mother was Devaki, Balaram's mother was Rohini, right? So even though they're both eternally brothers, they have had their pastime in that way. It's just how it is. So Nandanacharya, I can't remember actually, I didn't do the research before this, who he was in the Krishna Leela. Maybe I can find out for you next time. But here it's telling us that Rama Biram is Sridham. He's one of the coward boys. So Sridham is the closest coward boy to Krishna. Sridham is the brother of who?
Radharani.
Srimati Radharani's brother is Sridham. That's right. So he is very dear to Krishna and also very dear to Radharani. And of course dear to Balaram as well. So very sweet personality, Rama Biram. Okay. So it's a big scene here, isn't it? Right? When they meet each other, it's like the sky is open, and then, you know, they have a showering flowers down from the skies, playing drums. The Sankirtan's happening on earth and in the heavens as well. Right? What a scene. And everybody's like amazed, wow, there's two Gaurangas. Yeah. So there's a Sona Gauranga and there's a Rakta Gauranga who's slightly reddish. It describes that Lord Nityananda, one of his name is Rakta Gaura Lebra, which means he's like a slightly reddish Gauranga. Whereas Lord Chaitanya, he's like molten gold, like Srimati Radharani. Okay, let's continue reading.
That night they had the second meeting at the house of Chandrakeshakara.
Chandrasekhar, yeah.
Thank you. The Lord was chanting at the house, and Nityananda came there. Again they cried out, Nitai Gora, Nitai Gora, Nitai Gora. Nitai. Like that, they embraced each other. Then Lord Chaitanya just motioned to Srivas. Nobody knew what he was saying. He didn't say anything, just indicated something to Srivas. Somehow, Srivas was so in tune with Lord Chaitanya that he knew exactly what Lord Chaitanya wanted. Lord Chaitanya wanted him to chant a special kirtan for the pleasure of Nityananda Prabhu. So he started to sing the glories of Krishna in Vrindavan, how Krishna was playing his flute in the side of Yamuna, and how the gopis were singing the glories of Krishna. Then he started to glorify how Krishna and Balaram were with the cowherd boys. As soon as Nityananda heard this, he became stunned. He couldn't move. He started crying out, Krishna, Krishna. He was just shaking and he was absorbed. As soon as he heard Balaram and Krishna, he was an incarnation of Balaram, so it was too much for him. He was totally transported to Vrindavan just by hearing the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. He collapsed on the ground.
Okay. So now this is another pastime, which is happening at the house of Chandrasekhar. Okay. And so this kirtan, it happened in many places. It wasn't just at Srivas Thakur's house, although mainly that's where it was. But there were significant events happening elsewhere. So Gaur Nityananda, they met at Acharya's house. Then at Chandrasekhar's house, they had this special pastime. And it's mentioned here how Srivas Thakur, he was very sensitive to the mood of the Lord. So this is an important thing here. That, you know, he could understand the heart of the Lord and what would please him in that moment. So that's a very special thing, isn't it? To know how best to serve the Lord at any given moment, right? So just like from a practical perspective, I was thinking how in our lives, how do you think this transpires? How do you think this plays a role in our life? How is this instructive for us? Any thoughts on that? I don't know if I made the question clear. So how is it? So it's important to know that what the Lord wants from us at any given moment, isn't it? Yeah. This is the pastime. So how would this come to life for us? How would we get this in our life? Say we don't know what the Lord wants from us at this moment, then what would we do? So suppose we have a desire to serve the Lord, and we're not sure what to do. What would we do? What service would we do?
We would chant Hare Krishna to get closer to the Lord.
Yes, chanting is one thing. Krishna can reveal himself.
It actually has happened to me in reality. So just a few days ago, because I wanted to serve very much in Narsinga Chaturdasi, and it was a Tuesday, and I had work the whole day, and I was just praying and praying that somehow I had meetings which I couldn't cancel, and then somehow the meetings could be cancelled. All of a sudden, a service came my way. And I could do the service. So it's just praying, and I think Krishna hears that somehow.
Okay. Yeah, that's another answer as well. So yeah, by chanting and praying to the Lord for service. I had something else in mind as well. So if we don't know what the Lord wants from us, then we could ask someone who does know, right? So here, like all these devotees are assembled together, but it was Srivas, he could really pick up on the mood of the Lord. He was able to kind of lead all other devotees. Yeah. And so this is instructive for us because we should also take guidance from our seniors. Both in terms of like, we can also take guidance externally in terms of like what activity we'll do that will please the Lord. And also internally, what kind of mood we should have that we can serve the Lord in a way that's pleasing. Yeah. So any final thoughts and reflections as we're coming to the end of time now?